Okay, I think we're live again. I'm not sure. Trying to share this. If you are watching, enjoying, please click subscribe. Please share. Please share the video. Okay, yeah, we're live again. Share the video if you can. I'm trying to get it out there to as many people. Having had to start again, I think it's kind of messed things up. But let's see. Okay. Yeah, so the gun agenda, the do away with weapons, the paranoid Americans who are saying, "Oh, they're just coming to take our guns." Is that the problem? Is that the issue? Is it time for America to do away with gun ownership, the Second Amendment? Well, those 6 countries that I've mentioned previously that have more mass shootings than the United States of America per capita, per head of the population, we're talking Switzerland, Norway, Sweden, Slovakia, Israel. I think all these countries have more shootings per head of the population than the United States of America, and they have stricter rules about who can own a gun. They have more restriction on gun ownership. So America's not the worst country for mass shootings. And when Barack Obama said, "Oh, this is the only country where this happens," that was not true. That was not true. And maybe it's a case of propaganda, but there's perception that we associate America with nutcases who own guns, and the fact that today one gun owner has killed 50 people in a mass shooting. Well, that is going to be all over it's dominating the headlines. And from, as has been said a week ago, Muslims being highlighted for a good reason, and all the love and respect and praise that was given to Muhammad Ali. Now it's back to square one, and Muslims are terrorists again. And this guy pledged his allegiance to the so-called Islamic State. Who or what the Islamic State are, we don't know. And all of a sudden, it's very suspicious that this small group that began as the wing of Al Qaeda, they were called Al Qaeda in Iraq, and they were spawned from the invasion, the 2003 invasion of Iraq by America, and now this so-called Islamic State, ISIS, Daesh, whatever you want to call them, are now the main representation of Islam. And whenever anyone does a terrorist attack, they seem to pledge their allegiance to the Islamic State. But there's many other militant, murderous, Takfiri Islamic groups. Why is it that one that this guy, Omar Mateen, conveniently said he supported? Is it just because they're the most famous? I doubt he's ever been to Iraq or Syria. I don't know. I could be wrong. And he also praised the Boston bombers. The Boston Marathon bombing was another strange scenario when 2 Chechen American Muslim brothers attacked the Boston Marathon, and then one of them was killed during the arrest, and then the other one was injured so much so that he couldn't speak. And these were 2 Chechen individuals. The Chechens' main enemy, I thought, was Russia. So why did they attack the enemy of Russia the United States of America. If you're texting me on WhatsApp, I can't see it. So, Messi, put a comment on the screen. I see the comments that come up. That is the best way to interact on this one. So yeah, the attack today was linked to the Boston Marathon bombings. I hate to be a tinfoil hat wearing paranoid nutjob conspiracy theorist, but I do like to question things, and I question the fact that this guy conveniently, in the week after, as I said, Islam was portrayed in a good light, he portrayed it in a bad light. But don't get me wrong, there are, and I've met them, Takfiri fanatical Muslims who go to fight these jihads in Syria and Iraq, but the ideology that they follow always seems to make them into useful idiots. Because there's jihad in Syria to topple one of Russia's allies, Bashar al-Assad, who is by no means a nice person, who is a brutal dictator. But why is he singled out for a jihad? Because there are Muslims suffering, and I've said this before, people that know me will know what I'm about to say, in Burma, in the Central African Republic, in Palestine, of course. But the jihadists make their way to the Middle East, to Syria, to Iraq, to kill other Muslims, for Sunnis to kill Shias. This does not help the Muslim cause. And this idiot who killed 50 gay people today did not help the Muslim cause. So he's either a useful idiot or there's more to this than meets the eye. I don't know. I'm not one of these. I don't like to talk about crisis actors and everything being a hoax. There's some people in the conspiracy theory community who think, no, everything's a hoax. Everything's a hoax. No terrorist attack is ever real. I've heard people say, I don't believe in suicide bombing, in that it doesn't happen. But of course there are terrorist attacks. I'm not saying all of it is hoaxes, but I do question certain things. We know there were things about 9/11 that didn't add up. 3 buildings collapsed that day. Only 2 were hit by planes. That should be alarm bells. And that was committed by Al-Qaeda, the same Takfiri fanatics who were fighting against America's enemy in Russia, who were fighting against America's enemy in Yugoslavia. Oh yes, in the Balkans. I don't like to touch on these subjects because you will uncover some unpopular opinions, because there is wrong on both sides in all these conflicts. But when you look at where the Takfiri fanatics of Al-Qaeda, of ISIS, etc., and Al-Nusra and all the others, where they crop up repeatedly, there seems to be a common denominator, that they're always fighting against one of America's enemies. And that's why whenever one of these attacks happens, I do question it, and there are definitely questions about 9/11. But on to the gun lobby, or the anti-gun lobby, and how can I put it? The gay lobby, the gay rights movement. I wonder how they will spin this, because I've heard people saying that, as a gay Muslim, I disapprove of this. This is not Islam. There's going to be a lot of controversial points to come out of this, but we have to acknowledge, and you can't tiptoe around it. Almost every religion considers that homosexuality is in some way immoral, practicing homosexual acts. That doesn't mean that you should kill anyone for it. Of course not. And every believing Muslim, Christian or Jew knows that murdering, or should know that murdering innocent people is wrong. But we have to acknowledge that there is, whether you want to call it a problem of homophobia or a reality of homophobia amongst religious people. Yes, the majority of religions have a problem with homosexuality. And it always, here we go, there's a comment. Every year, 500,000 die in America from cancer. Every year, 500,000 die in America from heart disease. Where is the outrage from Americans? 20 dead in Florida. Well, I think, yeah, it was 50 dead in Florida, but absolutely cancer and heart disease kill many more people. Yeah, I guess it's about news value, isn't it? They say one death is a catastrophe and a million is a statistic. Being murdered in cold blood by a mass shooting is bound to get on the news quicker than gradual death from heart disease and cancer. But it's a very good point. It's a very good point. I've seen the statistics about Muslim terrorists when Donald Trump was stoking the paranoia about them. That more Americans since 9/11 were killed by bee stings than Muslim terrorists. Never mind how many Muslims in Iraq were killed by Americans for an invasion based on a pack of lies. But there you go. Yeah, 50 killed today. Was it a terrorist act? People are often very quick to come out and debate whether or not something was a hate crime. Was it a hate crime? Well, I guess it was. But had a white guy, a white man committed this attack, it would have been a hate crime. Because a Afghan Muslim man did it, it's a terrorist attack. There's always a different spin on the way that that these shootings are portrayed. And yet again, as I said earlier on, it's a stereotype that America is the top mass shooting country. It's not. Statistically, it's not. By numbers, it may be because it has such a massive population, 300 million people. So the way we break down the statistics, it's not the number one mass shooting country in the world. Equally, the stereotype that comes with the mass shooter, the profile of a mass shooter. If I told you there's been a mass shooting in America, your guess, your presumption would probably be white male in his 20s, loner. It's portrayed as being a white male phenomenon, but of course today was not a white male, it was an Afghan Muslim. There you go, that's a different demographic. And in fact, the second biggest mass shooting on American soil was the Virginia Tech massacre back in 2004 or 5, I think. And that was not a white male, that was an American student of an Asian background. So the stereotypes and the facts, sometimes it all gets clouded. But certainly there will be a different perspective on this one because of the religion and race of the person who committed it. And I've seen people already trying to blame misogyny. Everyone wants to come up with an enemy. That, oh, he's Muslim, so Muslims did it. Oh, he's a man, so misogyny did it. He carried a gun, so gun ownership did it. I've seen people say that he was he had a violent relationship with his wife, and she said he wasn't that religious, but so somehow he's got wound up with Al-Qaeda and pledged allegiance to them on the phone after committing the atrocity. Other people have blamed the police and said, oh, it was the case that he was a support. I've seen people say he was a supporter of the police and wore clothing that said NYPD, New York Police Department, on it, and the police failed in their botched attempt to rescue the individuals. Or are we blaming the police now? There's no doubt the fault lies with the individual who turned the gun on 50 people. And is it because America has a gun problem? Is it because Islam has a problem with radicalism? Is it because men have a problem with being violent? This all depends on your perspective. But the fact remains that 50 people were murdered in cold blood in Orlando, Florida. And our thoughts are with the families and the victims. And that is about all we can say on the matter for now. Thank you for watching. If you're watching down the line, we went live, but if you're watching the recording later, click subscribe and there'll be regular live videos in future, and we hope to have you on board. Like the video, share the video, subscribe. Thank you very much. We were here, we're gone. Layers.